For those of you who are returning from last year, we know that, first of all, welcome, but we know that it's sometimes hard to improve upon the original. So, I was thinking about what to talk about here, and I thought, what was a great original movie? Star Wars. And again, it can be really, really hard to improve upon the original, but we think it's possible, and in fact, we think it was done, with The Empire Strikes Back. So it can be done, and we're hoping to improve upon what we did last year for you guys, so let us know. However, sometimes the sequels don't quite go as well as you'd hoped. And for those of you who are real film connoisseurs, you may remember the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974. How many people have seen that movie? My God, I haven't even seen the movie. That's incredible. Okay, wow. That's a shocker. I got to take a moment to think about that for a moment. Well, believe it or not, there actually was a sequel to this movie. In fact, there were multiple sequels, but there was one most famous sequel that came out in 1995. Yes, that is future Academy Award winner Matthew McConaughey. The first movie made the equivalent of $150 million in today's dollars. The second movie, anybody want to venture a guess how much money the Texas Chainsaw Massacre made? Just throw it out. $100,000. And it cost $300,000. So I would say that was pretty much a failure. But what's really interesting about it is not only did that movie star one Academy Award-winning actor, it actually starred a second. And before you guys all hop to Google and figure out who that is, anybody know who that might be? By the way, if you know, you're probably not going to say, because yes, that's kind of embarrassing. So I didn't know either, but believe it or not, the other Academy Award-winning actor who starred in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Revolution, was Renee Zellweger. And in fact, here's the cover art. That's real. So you had two Academy Award winners starring in this movie that made $100,000. And by the way, I love the tagline, if looks could kill, then he wouldn't need a chainsaw. Maybe that was the problem, I don't know. Think about that one. Does that mean he's ugly? Or I couldn't figure that one out, but anyway. But there's a serious point here, and it is, you can have the right people, but if you don't have the right script, it doesn't work. And so I was thinking about, our conference, and I think, hey, we've got a lot of the right people here. A lot of conferences have a lot of the right people, but they still kind of fall flat on their face. And we hope that you'll see that our script and our content is really quite different. So we know we have the right script because we've got people like, well, that's me up in the corner, but Patty McCord, who will be up here in just a moment. So I'm going to give a longer introduction about Patty in a second. But Patty was at a little company called Netflix. How many people have Netflix accounts? Yeah, exactly. So she was there from the very beginning and helped transform this company from, in 1997, I think it was 10% online, 90% DVD by mail. Remember those DVDs? Remember the mail? To 10 years later, the exact opposite. 90% digital, 10% by mail. I don't think there's any by mail anymore. And now it's a global entertainment powerhouse that's remade Hollywood. She ran talent for them. She was in charge of acquiring and retaining talent. And must have been like, flying a plane or building a plane while it was being flown. I mean, you're really bringing new people in and you're finding new ways to do things, all while you're trying to keep a business alive. And everybody in this room is struggling with this. Everybody's struggling with how do you transform yourself. They did it. She was on the inside, and she's going to share some of her secrets about how she did that. And then after Patty, we're going to have Scott Wingo. So for those of you who were last year, you heard Scott. His time got a bit compressed, so we wanted him to come back and actually expand upon his comments and update and revise what he talked about. So there's probably no one in the world who knows more about marketplaces, which is maybe the hottest concept right now in B2B, and for good reason. He's the guy who knows this stuff cold, so he'll be up here after Patty to do it. And we gave him 45 minutes It'll be an entertaining 45 minutes, but he won't be squeezed this year. There we go. So tomorrow, we have two equally impressive speakers as keynotes. So a gentleman named Larry Keeley, who founded something called the Doblin Group, is going to come up here and talk to you about how to do innovation. You might go, we know how to do innovation. Everybody knows how to do it. You do a brainstorming session. You put stickies on the wall. Yeah, how many people have done that? Yeah, how many people would say it turned into anything useful? One. I'll talk to you afterwards about what it was. Doesn't work. He spent 25 years figuring out how to do innovation and captured it all in sort of a book, and he's going to share some stuff with you about how to do it. I was fascinated when I talked to him. Stuff I kept saying, oh, yeah, of course. So he'll be sharing that on stage tomorrow. And then Megan Burns. So Megan has probably forgotten more about customer experience than I know I will ever know. So we're really happy that Megan's going to be here tomorrow and going to really keynote a new track for us around customer experience. Okay, so I said we have lots of different ways to interact at this conference, and we think it's a really different kind of conference. Let me talk to you a little bit about that. So I went through the 4 keynotes. We actually have 6 tracks, and we have 4 keynotes. But we also are doing case studies, peer-to-peer sessions, multiple panels, and actual multiple workshops. So for those of you who were here yesterday, you saw 2 of the 3 workshops. Let me talk to you a little bit about that. So you saw the pre-conference workshops, which were done by our sponsors, and they were very well attended, and the feedback was fantastic. They had 4 hours to tell you everything about themselves and serve lunch. And honestly, I was a little concerned that we're going to be able to keep people's attention for that long period of time. I heard from people directly and indirectly who were in the conferences. I was there myself. They were glued to this. So far, so good. The integrated workshops, we did 6 of those yesterday. Probably many of the people in this room were in those integrated workshops. We call them integrated because they're not specific to a track. Like one of them was about how to build a customer-obsessed B2B company. You know, that's a lot of amorphous stuff, and they brought it down and spent an hour and 15 minutes helping people think through and workshop the idea. The last one is the track workshops. That's what's happening today and tomorrow. And we have 6 fantastic track workshops. You had to sign up for those in advance. Most of them are sold out. I think we still have capacity in 1 or 2. If you're really interested in going to it, see us at the registration desk. We can probably still sneak you in. But again, 6 of those coming up. So yesterday, like I said, we had several of these integrated workshops. Here's a little look at what we saw. I took these pictures myself. I didn't juice this. Each one of these had 75 to 150 people in it, which is pretty good for a pre-conference for 6 different topics, 3 of which were going on at the exact same time. So I think so far, so good. That was a real hit. So I said today and tomorrow we're doing track workshops. Why are these different? Well, for those of you who were here last year, you'll know that we really pride ourselves in thinking differently about workshops. We've all been in workshops. We've all been there where people have told us, imagine if, right? And then at the end of this, you go, I didn't really learn anything. I'm offended if you don't learn anything in these track workshops. I work with every one of the track workshop directors, and they had to go through me to make sure this was going to work. And so, you know, we want to make sure that you walk away with actionable insights. I know it's a buzzword, but you got to go back to work tomorrow and do your job, right? And you got 363 more days before we see you again to do your job. The point of these track workshops, all these workshops, is to give you something that you can take back to the office tomorrow. So I mentioned tracks. Okay, so last year we had 4 tracks. This year we have 6. So we're doing 3 today. One is digital business models. Another one is channel strategies. The third one is new, change management. That's why Patty's here. That's why we brought in a whole bunch of people to talk about this. Last year, every other word of everybody's mouth was, yes, but change management. We want to do this, but change management. And it was turning into finishing every sentence. And so we said, we've got to address this track. And by the way, spoiler alert, a lot of what you're going to hear is not conventional wisdom. Give you a couple of examples here of some sessions we have planned. So this is Eric Berger, and he's teaching something called doing business transformation in order to do digital transformation. You might be thinking, what does that mean? It means you can't do digital transformation without doing business transformation. That's why the change management component is so critical. Don't kid yourself. You're not doing digital transformation. You're doing business transformation. Big difference. Shalene Shah will be up later today giving a case study from Georgia Pacific about how to work with Amazon. And even the term there says it all, counterintuitively, by working with, not against Amazon. They're a brand manufacturer. They have a lot of struggles. Everybody does. They found a way to make this work. And I think he's got some really interesting insights he's going to share. Another one is Joe Suchemel. So Joe is a vice president of digital development at Discover. And he's one of those guys who has to compete with the Googles and the Facebooks of the world for talent. He's going to share in the peer-to-peer presentation, which is, by the way, a group conversation, how he's done it. And you got to get creative, you got to get clever, because we know everybody graduates from college now and says, I want to go to Silicon Valley, I want to make gazillions of dollars, and I want to change the world with fill-in-the-blank company. And you know how many people actually do that? An infinitesimally small number of people. So, and there's opportunity everywhere. And every big company, as if people in this room know, every big company needs the help. And we did a pre-conference survey, which I'll talk more about tomorrow. The number one problem listed universally, it was like 99% of the people said, attracting and retaining digital talent. So if you haven't already, make sure you go to Joel's session. He'll tell you about how they did it at a kind of mainline company. And then I want to make a little plug for a workshop that a friend of mine is doing here. So Fiona is a friend of mine. We went to graduate school together, and she's sitting in the second row right here. And she's doing a workshop about assembling the pieces for successful change management. Remember I said the change management thing is a little bit counterintuitive? You need to go to this workshop because she's done this for 20 years. She's helped companies figure out how to do this. And very practical, hands-on advice about stuff you can do literally tomorrow to make this actually work. It's an art and a science, but she's really boiled it down, so I hope you guys get a chance to go to that. Okay, so tomorrow, there's a lot in here, so hang with me here. Tomorrow, 3 new tracks. So tech and innovation, content data management, and customer experience. I said the word that was finishing every sentence last year was change management. Well, the phrase that came after that was, yeah, but our customer experience is terrible. We need to really improve our customer experience. We think we do a great job selling stuff, but nobody likes our customer experience. So we thought, well, we're responsive if nothing else, so we built a whole track around this. Like I said, Megan Burns will be on stage, and we have 12 presentations around the idea of customer experience. So really looking forward to that. I hope you guys can be there tomorrow for that. Let me give you an example of some of the content we've got in store for you tomorrow. So AJ Combly is doing a presentation, a case study about converting the rhetoric of AI and IoT into action. What does this mean? How many people have heard somebody in your company say the word AI or IoT in the last week? We thought we'd see more. I hear it all the time. So, but what the hell is it, right? I mean, we know in theory what it is. What does it really mean? AJ's actually done it in his company, and he's going to be here to kind of demystify some of the rights from the wrongs. We have a great panel discussion in the content data management track about how to address the needs of the business buyer. Lauren Friedman, who's a longtime market researcher, has tackled this one and has some really great proprietary research she's going to share tomorrow, and they're going to talk about on the panel about what it is that B2B buyers want. This is one you got to see. And then lastly, this new track, customer experience. Well, we built a panel around that, and I love the title of this, The Honest Truth About Customer Experience Technology from People Trying to Use It. Operative word, trying. I said, is that a typo? Did you really want to say trying? You mean definitely using it, successfully using it? I said, no, trying. Because we're all still kind of practicing this and getting it right. Judy Weeder is a former colleague of mine from Forrester, and she's a principal advisor on the Customer Experience Council. She lives and breathes this 24/7, 365, and we got a great panel of people who are going to come in and talk to you about how they've made it work and where they've struggled. So again, this is literally just scratching the surface. I had to select 6 or 7 or 8 of these just to give you a flavor for it. I think there are 60 presentations over the course of the next 2 days. So I don't envy you trying to find out how to go to the various presentations. In fact, one of the things we heard last year and we built into our conference this year is people brought companions along because they couldn't be in 2 places at the same time. So they said, okay, you go here, I'll go here, and let's compare notes afterwards. So next year, you might want to think about doing that because unless you invent some technology that enables you to have micro or superposition like in quantum computing and be in 2 places at the same time, you're going to need some help. Okay, so I'm really excited to introduce Patty McCord. So I mentioned earlier that we wanted Patty to come, and I got to be honest, I'm not sure I even told Patty this. I saw her on Bloomberg about a year ago, and she was interviewed about her new book. And she mentioned this term, radical honesty. And I thought, wow, that's kind of an interesting concept. And she said, yeah, you know what it is? People actually tell people the truth in the workplace. And so maybe she'll touch on this a little bit, but at Netflix, from the very bottom to the very top, including Reed Hastings, the CEO and founder, people are not only allowed, but encouraged to tell people what they're doing wrong. Now, you do it in a nice way. You don't accost somebody in the parking lot and point a finger in their face, unless you're going to tell me otherwise. But no, but we all live in this delusional world where we all pretend to tell everybody the truth, right? Let's be honest. And that doesn't work in Silicon Valley. I know because I spent a decade there myself. And I worked in companies where we would have knockdown, drag-out arguments. That's why I have ping pong tables, by the way. We would go out and play ping pong so we didn't kill each other. Because if you don't, what do they used to say? If you don't fix your problems in your office, the market's going to fix it for you. And you're not going to like the outcome. And so that's the startup mentality. And I would love to see that pervade more businesses because I think there are a lot of companies, and I work with many of them, where the people I talk to totally get it. They want to do something like, yeah, but the other guys don't, and he's got this or she's got that agenda. I'm like, I'll tell you, in Silicon Valley, that doesn't work. A lot of things that are maybe at issue in Silicon Valley, but in Silicon Valley, they have to hone in, focus till it hurts, and get it done. And we, frankly, are now moving more toward that kind of model. Everybody knows about Agile. Everybody knows about iterative stuff. This is the world we live in now, where we've simply got to be market responsive because the customers with one click of a mouse can be gone tomorrow.